This is the John Meccico Show on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Now, here is John Meccico.
All right, guys, welcome back to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. This is John Meccico, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. So yesterday, I kind of went on a rampage about San Francisco and Governor Newsom, and, right when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, it can. It really can. It's shockingly enough, but yes, it's true. So San Francisco has a lot of problems. We know this already. The drug use, it's rampant. We got homeless people on the streets. It's rampant. Syringes, needles all over the street. People can't even walk on the streets. Defecation everywhere. They have the map that shows the defecation spots in San Francisco. It's the most disgusting map you've ever seen. High taxes, its governor, the list goes on and on and on. But leave it to the elected officials to prioritize things the way they should, which would mean let's take the most important thing, let's take it to the top of the list, and let's handle that first. All right? Let's make that our top agenda. And we now find out that the most important thing that there is for them to handle, for them to prioritize, wait for it, politically incorrect language. Not drugs, not homelessness, not needles and syringes, not the stench of urine and feces everywhere. No. It is politically incorrect language. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors is busy rewriting language guidelines for what to call certain people. What people? I'm glad you asked. A convicted felon or an offender released from jail should be called a formerly incarcerated person or a justice-involved person. A person who commits another crime, once called a repeat offender, should now be called a returning resident. Returning resident. Oh my God, stop with the semantics. A returning resident? Are you serious? Stop with the semantics. Stop the verbiage that you're just trying to soften things up. You're ruining the city with this you're ruining the country with this kind of thing. People don't know what to call each other anymore. It's just, among other things, political correctness is destroying this country. Now, there's more. People on parole or probation should be referred to as a person on parole or a person under supervision. A person under supervision? Are you serious? A juvenile delinquent should become a young person with justice system involvement or a young person impacted by the juvenile justice system. That one really got me. A young person impacted by the juvenile justice system. What are you talking about? It's the young person the young person is not impacted by the juvenile justice system. They're impacting the juvenile justice system. They did the crime. If it's overcrowded, it's not the justice system impacting them. They're impacting the justice system. Am I wrong here? Am I losing it? What is going on? As Elaine always says, John, sensory overload. One of my Facebook people. I'm sorry, Elaine. I'm sorry. They went on to say, this is a Supervisor Matt Haney told the San Francisco Chronicle, we don't want people to be forever labeled for the worst things that they have done. We want them ultimately to become contributing citizens. We all want that, Matt. All of us want that. And referring to them as felons is like a scarlet letter that they can never get away from. Yes, they can get away from. According to the resolution, 1 of 5 California residents has a criminal record. Words like prisoner, convict, inmate, felon only serve to obstruct the separate people from society and make the institutionalization of racism and supremacy appear normal. You had to bring in racism and white supremacy on this? Oh my gosh, you got me riled up. I'm sorry. This is total BS. This is ridiculous. This person cannot be serious. They can't be serious. This is what bothers me. When you soften the language like this, what you're saying is Anybody that commits a crime, you have freedom of choice. You have freedom of choice to do whatever you want, but you should not have freedom of consequences. And one of those consequences is going to be that you're going to be labeled a certain thing, be it a felon, be it a criminal, be it whatever it may be. If you've committed the crime, you're going to have the label. All right? There's consequences that have to be had. If there's no consequences to bad choices, people just continue to have bad choices, which California, you're becoming a prime example of that. Prime example. You can't just keep softening up the language. Softening it up, you soften up the consequence. That should not happen. There is no accountability for this. None. No accountability at all. The semantics, call things for what they are. Not what to soften it up. Just call it for what it is. First, it's pro-choice. That's softer than pro-murder, so let's just call it pro-choice. It's not pro-choice. If you're believing in pro-choice, that means that you're believing in just killing children. It's pro-murder. Stop it already with the semantics. Then there's the gender names. I can't even go into that because it's only an hour show. Now this, what do we call pedophiles next? These are people with misplaced affections. Is that what we're going to do? Are you serious? This is beyond ridiculous. I have a solution. If you don't want to be called a felon, don't commit the felony. It's that simple. If you don't want to be a felon, don't commit the felony. If you don't want to be labeled as something, then don't do it. That's it. There's nothing else to say about it, but that is it. I don't know if you really caught what I said at the end of what Mr. Was it Haney? Matt, where am I here? Matt Haney. 1 of 5 California residents have a criminal record? Let that sink in a second. 1 of 5 Californians or California residents have a criminal record. Maybe the state of California needs to look in the mirror and say, what can we do about that? Does that not make you think, what is going on? And do you think it's going to get better? All the illegal immigration, the Medicare for all, the homelessness is going to get worse. Nobody's doing anything about anything. 1 of 5 Californians. Where's the problem with this? Why could it get worse? Why could it be now 1 in 4? It could very soon. Why? Because unemployment leads to criminal activity. People that are unemployed get hungry. What do? They steal. I get it. I understand it. But California, look in the mirror. You've got to do something different about this. But softening up these names, it is what it is. The other thing that bothers me is that you are acting as though a person that has a label to them when they're younger, that they're going to be stuck with this label for the rest of their life. That's not how it has to be. Do you know what makes a great comeback story? The fact that somebody has been through rough times and they've been labeled certain things and they have overcome those things to become a person that is positively affecting the community. It sounds much easier to say this was a person. Let me put it this way: to say this was a person that was under supervision, but now look what they're doing versus this was a felon. Now look what he's doing. Which story is more powerful? Don't be afraid of the label, right? I mean, that just means the stronger the comeback. And people get inspired by that. We need more of those feel-good stories. But you're just trying to soften everything up and, I don't call them this and don't call them that. No, you're doing it wrong. You're like, you can't be just a timeout parent all the time. Every now and then, something a little more drastic has to occur. This is just nuts. This is just, I don't know, very, very sad. All week long, I'm dumping on California, and I hate doing it. I live in the state. I don't want to see these things happen, but we have to call it what we have to call it. All right? Stop with the semantics. Stop with softening things up. You have choices, but you don't have a choice of consequence. And you get labeled what you get labeled for doing what you do. You don't want to be called a felon? Don't commit a felony. It's as simple as that. All right, guys. Sorry if I ranted a little bit, but man, that just really got my ire up. You're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Our phone numbers are 559-442-1680. We are going to get into the electoral vote and some of the stuff that went on. See you after the break. Hey, Facebook. Hey, Sheila from Louisiana. Hello. Elaine says hi to Sheila. So she's going to say hi to me. Sensory overload indeed. I know, Elaine. I'm sorry. It just fires me up. Binky. I never heard of Binky. It's all a part of turning our republic into communism. Ah, Binky. I hope not. And Shayna. Hello, Shayna. Binky again. When right is wrong and wrong is right, the destruction of morals and values. Yeah, you're right, Binky. You're right. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and you know how much I appreciate you and your comments, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Back to the John Meccico Show on the Valley's new talk leader, Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
All right, welcome back to the John Meccico Show. You're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED, the Central Valley's home for all things campaign 2020, home of Jarris Jackson at 2 o'clock, Bill O'Reilly at 3:45, and the Guillermo Moreno Show at 5. All right, so we just, if I screamed in anybody's ear too loud, I'm sorry, but this political correctness thing really just has to stop. And I have no idea what California's doing there, trying to relabel things. They are what they are, stop with the semantics. All right, I want to talk about the Electoral College vote. There were two stories regarding that, maybe one less important than the other, but we're going to hit them both. The less important one being AOC, but I'll go through that one first. I think the last one is probably a little more important. So political figures from the American heartland are torching Republican AOC. Of course, she deserves it. After she posted an Instagram video where she claimed the Electoral College was a racist scam that needs to go. Here we go with racism again. All right. The post featured her driving on an empty highway in a desert landscape and joking about how many votes there are out here. You know, when she says something like that, it's repulsive. You know, it's like she doesn't get it. All right. She basically, that kind of comment is saying, hey, these votes here, they don't count. You know, people that live in mid-America where there maybe isn't a lot of farmland and stuff like that, These people's vote don't count. That's disgusting. She really has no clue. How does a congresswoman not have a clue about how important the electoral vote is? You have to have a clue about this, AOC. You have to. You know, the equivalent of that would be just the opposite. If someone is driving through a district where she's at, and they're all unemployed because she turned Amazon down and 25,000 jobs were lost, and they say something about that these people shouldn't vote because they don't pay taxes, so therefore they don't have any skin in the game, or they're too dumb to vote, obviously, because they voted for her. I mean, you can take this, you can do the same thing going the other way. But she doesn't seem to get that. And to insult so much of America by saying something like that, that's a big deal. Now, listen, she's got a ton of followers on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, so her words mean something. As much as I want to see her get voted out in 2020, and I'm hoping that, the name escapes me now, but the girl from Jamaica, who seems very bright, the businesswoman, I really hope she takes AOC out in that 2020 election. We need to support her from all states. She needs to get funding. Anyway, New York, I don't know what to tell you. You voted in a congresswoman who doesn't really understand the importance of the electoral vote. When she does something like this, what is she saying? She's saying that Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Iowa, all these kind of places, their vote doesn't matter. Their vote does matter. They have a completely different take on what's needed around the country, and their voices need to be heard. And when AOC does something like that, she is completely just saying no. Like, if this woman ever runs for president, which would be laughable, these are the kind of comments that they're all going to remember. They're all going to remember this. It's just a ridiculous comment. Why? Why? This all actually stems from just Donald Trump. You're just mad at Donald Trump. The Teflon Don's got you so fired up just him being in office that everything's racism. The fact that she used racism on this, doesn't that bother anybody? Because it bothers the heck out of me. Governor Mike Huckabee, I think, had the greatest line. He said, "The great sage, AOC, apparently didn't take civics, so she wants to get rid of the Electoral College. The college we need to close is the one that gave her a degree." I thought that was great. She won't watch this, but hope you will. Electoral College is good for Dems and GOP. He's absolutely right. AOC claimed in her Instagram post that due to severe racial disparities in certain states, the Electoral College effectively weighs white voters over voters of color, as opposed to a one-person, one-vote system. You can actually take that same argument and flip it. And that's the part. I don't know how she doesn't get this, all right? You can actually argue that the exact opposite, that there's so many minorities and so many voters of color in these big inner cities where the Electoral College number is so high, that's automatic that the Dem is going to get it. You can just flip this in reverse. I don't know what she doesn't understand. Anyway, just very discouraging. The other story that I want to talk about is there was a federal appeals court ruled late Tuesday that presidential electors, who cast the actual ballots for president and vice president are free to vote as they wish and cannot be required to follow the results of the popular vote in their states. The decision could give a single elector the power to decide the outcome of a presidential election if the popular vote results in a electoral college tie. All right, so that sounds a little confusing, but let's break this down. There was a decision from a 3-judge panel of the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver, and they awarded a victory to a guy named Michael Baca. He was a Colorado Democratic elector in 2016. Under their state law, he was required to cast his ballot for Hillary Clinton, who won the state's popular vote. Instead, he crossed out her name and he wrote in John Kasich, a Republican, who was then governor of Ohio. The Secretary of State removed Baca as an elector, discarded his vote, and brought in another elector who voted in Clinton. So this 10th U.S. Circuit Court, there's a 2-1 decision, because remember, it's a 3-judge panel. And they said, the appeals court said the nullification of Baca's vote was unconstitutional. When voters go to the polls in presidential races, they actually cast their votes for a slate of electors chosen by the political parties of the nominees. So basically, each party chooses people that they can trust. Sometimes it's a goodwill thing, but somebody who a Republican Party, these guys are very Republican. We can trust them. Democratic Party, he's hardcore Democrat. We can trust him. They choose somebody that they can trust to do good by honoring the people who voted either Republican or Democrat. I really never even paid attention to that. I thought that was pretty wow. Now, this is the thing. Once the electors are chosen and report in December to cast their votes as members of the Electoral College, they have fulfilled their federal function. And a state's authority has now ended. So the state of Colorado wasn't allowed to sue or to throw Michael Baca off from voting the way he did, according to this 10th U.S. Circuit Court. They said the state's power to appoint electors does not include the power to remove them or nullify their votes. Because the Constitution contains no requirement for electors to follow the wishes of a political party, the electors, once appointed, are free to vote as they choose. I'm sure that 99% of my audience did not know this. And fascinating stuff. All right, we got some people on the line, but I got to wait for my man Woody to get back on. So as soon as Woody's here, Steve, you're on the line. We're going to get you on the line. Yeah, let's get him on. Steve, my man. Hey, Steve. Oh, hold on. Steve. Hey, Steve, talk to me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I messed up on the buttons. Sorry about that, my friend.
Oh, no problem.
I'm technologically dysfunctional sometimes. So
I'm that all the time.
Yeah, I'm too old to figure all this out. But anyways, so actually for the audience to know, it was Steve who actually brought this story up to me. And at first I was upset because I'm like, well, wait a minute. The voters, that's the vote that counts. But Steve brought up some interesting points. So Steve, let's hear you, man.
Okay. The reason electors are created and empowered with voting for the president is because the president does not represent the people. The president represents the states, and the electors are the representatives of the states. So what they do is the way it's supposed to be done. That article that you read is purposely trying to mislead people.
Okay.
That article is trying to tell you that the appeals court is wrong for this decision. They're wrong, and it's going to hurt our republic.
But constitutionally, it's actually correct.
It is actually correct because, all right, let's take a state. I'm just going to throw some numbers out here.
Sure.
You've got 20 electors in a state.
Right.
Okay. 12 of them vote for Trump.
Okay.
Okay. 7 of them vote for Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
That's 19.
Yep.
You got 1 that votes for somebody else. Every elector's vote is counted to whom they have voted for. So those that voted for Trump will get counted and put into a pile. The vote, whoever voted for Hillary, whoever voted for anybody else, it all goes in, and then all those votes are counted, and whoever has the most after those votes are counted is the winner.
In this case, the illustration that you're giving us, that would be Trump.
Yes.
Okay.
That's an illustration. That's
right.
an illustration.
In that illustration.
The reason you have an electoral college is because we have a republic form of government. That republic form of government ensures everybody is equal. So if you went through a democratic form of government, every state that has the largest population would now nullify everything from a state that has a lesser population.
So
their votes don't count. That's why you have electoral college.
Exactly.
That's what they don't want. The Democratic Party does not want that. That's not fair to them. And if they get their way, which they can't because it's called the 12th Amendment, I believe California's already done it. Illinois has already done it. I don't remember the other several states that have. They've entered in a national popular compact.
Right. So this national
constitutionally illegal too. But
they're doing it, and they're pressing it like, hey, this is a real possibility. But you're telling me from the 12th Amendment that is absolutely illegal.
Yes.
Okay.
But see, the problem is just like you said, what you heard today, you didn't know nothing about.
Knew nothing, and I'm sure 98% of the audience did not know this, because this is the thing.
Exactly.
This is the thing. And I'm so glad that you brought it to my attention, because that was just an eye-opener, because I'm looking at this and going, there's all kinds of corruption that can really go on here.
Mm-hmm.
And
because they're taking a republic away and putting back a democracy. Our forefathers were adamantly against a democracy. Actually, they were fighting amongst themselves on creating a federal government.
Now, Steve, explain what you mean, because I believe what you're saying is democracy is the officials governing the people, or having more rights over the people, and the republic being that the people dictate to the officials what we want.
The people can, under a republic, the people can keep control of the government because of the Constitution and the restricted powers that they have.
Right.
Under a democracy, the mob rules. That means 4 out of 5 that are for something automatically get their way.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The 5 out of the 9 will get their way because that's the majority.
Right. Okay.
That's how a democracy works. So the forefathers understood that a democracies always fail. They'll fail, they'll exhaust, and they'll eat themselves, and they take the people with them. And that's why they were adamant about keeping a constitutional republic.
All right. Steve, we only have about 30 seconds left, and we also have another person on the line, Sheila, which we'll get to you on the right after the break.
Okay, yeah.
To me, though, when I look at this, I'm like, okay, well, this electoral person, they never have accountability because nobody knows who they are. So this becomes an important issue in my eyes, that I want to know who that person is, because if something goes wrong, like what happened here in Colorado, that person needs to be accountable by the public. In my opinion.
I'll kind of describe it this way. The electors are around the state.
Yeah.
Okay, and people vote. And that kind of gives the elector that push on where they think they should vote.
Right, they choose the person.
Their actual reason for voting is to vote for the person, president and vice president, that is best for their state.
All right, Steve, I'm up against a hard break, but great call. Thank you so much, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Guys,
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back after the break. Hey, Facebook. Man, good stuff by Steve. I'd be curious to see if any of you guys even knew that about the electoral person that could change things. That was amazing. Good. Facebook would let me post the work. Facebook would let me post the work undercover. All right. Sheila, I'm supporting that lady. She is so am I, Sheila. You're talking about the girl from New York opposing AOC. I agree with you 100%. I know we can't vote for her, but you're right. We could pray for her, and we can probably even donate to her, I think. Michigan Mike in the house. Love it. Kim, hi, John, and everyone. All right, Michael. It's not fair for the Dems because they are losing the American public. They don't even know it. They don't even know it, Mike. It's the funniest thing. They don't even have a clue. All right. Guys, I'll see you after the break.
Valley's new talk leader, Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Here again is John Meccico.
All right, welcome back to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And wow, that was good stuff by Steve. And actually, I've kept Sheila. She's been wanting to talk to us for so long now. So yeah, let's definitely get her on. Hey, Sheila.
Hey, John.
Sorry about the long delay, but thank you for hanging on. I appreciate that.
He said it all. I mean, he said a good bit of it.
He's a smart man, and he's always bringing something new to me. He's making me better. So I love the guy.
And I'll tell you, the other day I had some friends tell me there's one of them that they have a relative that is an electoral voter, and they said, Sheila, we want you to go do the test and go do whatever you have to do to get to be one. I said, I don't know if I want to do that.
Sheila, do it.
And but anyway, I wanted to say about AOC.
Okay, bring it. Yeah, what a knucklehead.
She talked about the farmers. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
And she, and she said what she did. To me, I got one big question for her.
Yeah.
She wants to every one of these illegals coming in here. All these people that have come in here. I'd like to know who she thinks is going to grow the food for them. It's going to be the farmers.
Excellent question.
Do they have enough land to grow food for them?
Hey, I love that point right there. So you want these farmers to feed them, but you don't want them to have a vote that counts, right?
Well, and the reason why I say this is I was raised in Columbia, Mississippi.
There you go.
That was farmers.
You know what? That's a really good question that should be asked to her.
Well, where are they going to get these farmers that are going to grow all this extra food to feed all this million of people that have come in here?
Oh, they just think that they're just going to just have these illegal immigrants just go and just start farming. But the idea of that the only reason they really want them here is because they want the vote. But if you're not going to allow them to vote, I guess unless they're all going to come to the San Joaquin Valley, because that's California, so for them that works. She's hitting the head. I don't know how else to say it. She's for somebody that has such a public figure, she is very irresponsible with the words that come out of her mouth. And
I hope the other little lady gets it.
Yeah, I do too. I meant to write her name down here earlier just so I would remember it.
I don't remember it either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think I saw one advertisement with her.
It was a great commercial. It was a great commercial.
Yeah.
So I actually need to look that up because she is, she's really bright. She's a good businesswoman, and I think she's got a ton of potential. And I think she's speaking a language that that I think New Yorkers really need to hear, especially after the whole Amazon debacle.
Oh yeah.
So
that's just my point that I wanted to make. I've been wanting to say it for a long time, and I kept thinking about it, and I said, because I came from a line of farmers.
Her name is Shereen Murray. I just looked it up. It's Shereen Murray. That's who it is.
Shereen Murray.
Sheree, Scherie, and then Murray, Murray.
Okay.
And we need to pay attention to this woman. I mean,
I know she's what, like 18 or 19? She's 19, isn't she?
No. I want to say she's 37. She's a businesswoman.
Okay.
She's a businesswoman.
I thought somebody had got on here and said that she was young. I mean, that she was like...
Hey, 37 or so is young. Stop it.
Well, hey.
I always say if they're younger than me, they're young. I don't care what age you are, man. Younger than me, you're young.
Well, I'm going to let you go. So
all right,
get
Sheila.
To some of your other people, but that was my whole point. I want to know where she thinks all this food's going to come from.
You're right. Good point. All right, Sheila, take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. So in the news, President Trump, let me start with this. We've all been told for years that if you're born here, you're automatically a U.S. citizen. It's all right there in the 14th Amendment. No matter who your parents are or what their status is, you're an American, right? Haven't we all heard this? Not so fast. So the 14th Amendment says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. Now, everybody pays attention to the first part, that all persons born or naturalized in the United States, therefore they just automatically think that they're a citizen. But they're forgetting the second part. This "and" is a big word here. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. The Senate included it there for a reason when they passed the amendment in 1868, to make it clear not everyone born here is automatically a citizen. Being born here is only half the equation. You also must be subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So I was never exposed to people that would come from another country, have a baby here, and then a week later go back to where they came from. I never saw that until I moved to California. And nice couple. They were very nice people. I didn't know what was going on at the time. Somebody explained it to me later on. But she basically moved here a week before her delivery date, had the baby, and a week later left. And there was just this uneasy feeling I had about that. I was kind of like, that doesn't really seem right. You know, like, so you're considered a U.S. citizen, but you have no skin in the game with the United States? Again, I didn't know much about it, but it just had this creepy feeling about it. So President Trump, apparently, he kind of finds it as a little, he's disgruntled about it as well. Let's just put it that way. All right. He said he's seriously considering issuing an executive order to end the birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. He said it was frankly ridiculous that the U.S. affords citizenship because you walked over the border, had a baby. He's right. I'm sorry. There's just something that's just disingenuous about it. All right. You're not subject to the jurisdiction, as it says in the 14th Amendment. But here we have this 14th Amendment and nobody's really paying attention to it. There's something very wrong about that. There is something that's just disingenuous about it. To be able to say later on, if the kid grows up and he wants to go to a college in America and the parents can afford it, well, he's a U.S. citizen. I don't know. I don't know if that doesn't feel right to me. And I think to a lot of Americans, you know, they're looking at this and when you hear the mainstream media, you just think that, oh, you know, Trump's just trying to show his white supremacy and racism again. No, he's following the law. The law says this. This isn't a Trump thing. This is a law thing. It's just, again, another scenario where the law has not been followed the way it should be followed. I don't know. You know, I feel like he's got a point here, and we'll see what comes out of this. You know, the other thing is I think this is a job of Congress. This isn't really a job that should be had by him as far as handing down an executive decision. But it probably won't ever get done unless he makes an executive order to it. And that's the sad part, is that Congress won't even follow their own laws. So, you know, he does what he does, and, you know, sometimes you put him in a position to do it. You put the Teflon Don in a position to do it, and he's going to do it. He acts. He doesn't just think about it, talk about it. He does something about it. All right, we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to touch on this story as well. So we talked about this whole Bill Maher and Rashid Tlaib. You know, Bill Maher he was on his HBO show last Friday, and he had some very stern words regarding the whole Omar and Tlaib thing. Well, apparently now they're going at it, as one could easily predict. All right, Bill Maher is crushing it. He's crushing her. This really is not a fair fight, these two. But she's kind of trying to hit back, and you're hitting back on the wrong guy. So he responded after she said what she said, which I'll get to in a second. He responded, some people have only one move, and that's boycott, cancel, make go away. What's happening is she's asking that his show should be boycotted, all right? She's calling for a boycott of the show, and I really don't understand why. I mean, those are words that are just in air, and nobody's paying attention to them. He said this, though. This was just a classic line by Maher. But here's the thing, quote, the House voted 318-17 to condemn the BDS movement. That's the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, which is the thing that he talked about. The House voted 318-17 to condemn that movement, including 93% of Dems. Does Tlaib want to boycott 93% of her own party? Right on. There's very little that I'm going to agree about with Bill Maher, but kudos to him. She brought a knife to a gunfight, is what she did. Her trying to match wits with Bill Maher is just an absolute joke. So basically, how all this started, he asked the question: was it fair to boycott, divest, and sanction Israel in wake of the clash between the Israel government and the pro-BDS U.S. reps? And he went on to say that any Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Omar has said things like it's about the Benjamins. Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken people, help them see the evil doings of Israel. And Mar ended up saying, I see why they don't get a hero's welcome. Okay. He called this BDS a BS purity test by the people who want to appear woke but actually slept through history class. He called them out. She responded with boycott his show. And he responded the way he has, right? Bill, now you know how it feels to be like us when we make logical points and all they do is try to shut you down, boycott you, call you names. Bill, you're experiencing what Republicans are experiencing, what conservatives experience. I'm glad he's experiencing it because maybe he'll have a different take on some things. At the end of the day, she is no match for him, all right? She's not as smart or as quick-witted as he is. Right? To continue to fight, he will just continue to expose you and continue to expose BDS. You are in the wrong fight, Talib. But I hope you keep going because the more you go, the more he's going to expose you. I may get into this just a little more in a second. Guys, you're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED Talk Radio, and this is John Meccico Show. Stick around. Hey, Facebook. Cynthia, hi, John. Hello, Cynthia. How are you? Shayna, great insight from caller Steve. Yeah, Steve's the man, Shayna. Definitely. Obama's not a natural citizen either. Who knows? Elaine, shocking coming from Bill. Maybe he's waking up. I know, right? I know, Elaine. But you know what? Good. You know, good that I'm glad that he's going after her because listen, now it's both political parties going after her. It's the Democrats and Republicans. Her approval rate cannot be all that great. So hopefully they're coming at her. So good stuff. All right, guys, I appreciate it so much. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, that electoral vote thing, I'm paying much more attention to that now come the next election. And I hope you guys are as well. All right. I am sticking around again for the Guillermo Moreno show with Lisa Moreno. So if you guys want to stick around, that would be great. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.
John Meccico on Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
All right, guys, welcome back to the John Meccico Show, Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And we will be covering the debates here on September 12th and 13th. We're going to have a roundtable with Jairus Jackson, Guillermo, and myself. I have not been able to participate in some of those because I had to be away for family matters. But not barring anything unforeseen, I plan to be here for that one. So I hope you guys want to stick around for that. Just to finish on my thought regarding Bill Maher and Tlaib, you know, one thing about Bill Maher, and again, we really don't agree on, I don't think we agree on anything, but we do agree on this. He has a very loyal audience. And I mean, I know people that I swear they get their political insight from Bill Maher. Probably not the best thing, but it is what it is. He's been around a long time. Again, has a very loyal audience. But the one thing about Bill Maher that you do have to respect, he will bring as many conservatives that want to come on the show to debate what he feels is right. And you have to give him credit for that. So, you know, the fact that he has the ear of mostly left, but probably some right, and he is a comic, so some people will find him funny. Tlaib is going to take a big hit here. And man, listen, I pray she comes back and tries to get him again because I want this BDS to be so exposed. It needs to be exposed. And you know what? If Bill Maher's the guy to do it, keep going at him. Now, somebody in her camp should be saying, listen, Rashid, or Rashida, however you want to say, Tlaib, Miss Tlaib, take the loss. All right? Let it go. Take the loss. Live to fight another day. Because as comics will crush you. Good comics will crush you. And he's got an audience. So, and believe me, there's very few times that the Fox Newses of the world and stations like us want to be giving props to Bill Maher. But if you're going to crush Tlaib, oh yeah, we're paying attention. We're paying attention because there's very little to like about her in regards to her being part of our American government. All right, I went on a rant when I started the show, but I want to leave on a nice, happy, feel-good story. I happen to see this today. A 99-year-old Arkansas World War II veteran, 99 years old, was presented with a series of medals this week, and he had a bit of advice for the younger generation. Two of the things he said was very simple. Stay in school and come out with the idea of serving people. That sounds like pretty good advice right there. So his name is Sergeant First Class Thomas Franklin Vaughns. Now that's a name. That's a name. Thomas Franklin Vaughns. He was an airplane mechanic with the Tuskegee Airmen who also served in the Korean War. And he made the comments on Wednesday following a ceremony honoring his military career. He said, stay off drugs. That's number one. When you have an opportunity to go to school, stay in school. And when you come out with the idea of serving people. Pretty good advice. Now this whole medal ceremony thing, and good for him that they recognized him. He received replacements of 4 medals that he had lost. The Honorable Service Lapel Button, World War II Victory Medal. Then the third was the Good Conduct Army Medal, and an Army Campaign Medal, World War II. And then to top it off, there was a 5th one that he got that he hadn't had before. This one he hadn't lost. They actually gave him another one. It was the National Defense Service Medal for his involvement in the Korean War. Now, this guy had a heroic and a great career in the military. He served his country. Then he comes home and like the rest of the greatest generation, he rebuilds this country. If you want to know why they consider that era the greatest generation, they fought the war, came back, built the country. They worked. Now, guys, this is a true hero. And at 99 years old, he's still relevant. And that's one of the things I loved about this story. It's not an age thing. You can still be relevant at 99. And he's given great advice. Don't do drugs. Stay in school. Come out of school serving others. We can learn a lot from our elderly people, especially elderly vets. They went through it. You know, this guy, his money should be no good. And where's he at? From Arkansas, I believe. I think he's from Arkansas. Whatever place he shows up, lunch should be bought for him. Dinner should be bought for him. right? This is the kind of guy whose voice should be heard. But I love the idea that he's 99 and he's staying relevant and he's trying to give advice and he's still trying to serve, even if it's with his voice. You know, the take-home story of all this is we're never too old to serve in some capacity. Volunteering somewhere, you'll be shocked at just whatever little words of advice you have to somebody can just change somebody's life, especially this older generation. Don't just look at them like you're old, your words don't mean anything, you don't understand. Man, they've seen it all. They understand it all. I'm amazed at some of the people that I see that are in their 80s and 90s, and just you have conversations with them, and the things that they say, they may not say much at times, just simply because they feel like they don't want to be heard. But once you can get them talking, the depth and the wealth of knowledge that they can give you, and this guy here, man, Thomas Franklin Vaughan, he's a perfect example of that. So for those of you that are young, what I'm asking you to do is make sure that you show major respect to these kind of guys. If you know that they're a veteran, buy them breakfast, buy them lunch, buy them dinner, whatever it is, and let them know that you appreciate their service and that you appreciate that they continue to be relevant. And for the older ones out there, and for the vets, you know, look, stay patient with us. You know, keep giving us the best you have, whatever it is, we'll take it because we need it. This country needs it. There's a moral divide here. There's a political divide here. There's a religious divide here. You guys knew how to make it work. We apparently didn't learn enough from you, and we need you. So don't feel like you're not relevant. You're very, very relevant. Trust me. You know, as I get older, the one thing I used to, it was funny, when I was early, I wanted to retire early. Now I've realized I don't ever want to retire. I may want to kind of transition to other areas, but I don't ever want to retire, because if I retire, I'm really not going to stay relevant. And I want to be relevant. We all want to be relevant in some capacity. And trust me, somebody needs to hear your voice. So I will tell you this, Sergeant First Class Thomas Franklin Vaughan, we salute you. All right. So good on you. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today, at least my show. The Guillermo Moreno show is coming on at 5, and I am sticking around for that. So I would ask that you do too. And I'm going to have the lovely Lisa Moreno here. We're going to talk about some topics that we covered in the 4 o'clock hour, but I definitely want to get her input on it. I'll try not to have the mad rage that I did at the beginning of the show. Woody's laughing behind the glass. So yeah, no, I mean, it fires me up, man. That political correctness thing, Woody, it fires me up. So anyways, guys, appreciate you so much. Talk Radio 1680 KGED, the Central Valley's home for all things campaign 2020. We will see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Hey, Facebook. Yeah, Elaine, I love hearing veteran stories too, man. They're just very, very inspiring. Michael says he's staying. Thank you, Michael. I love that. Thank you so much. Brian, good evening. Good evening, Brian. Yeah.